Hello, can everyone hear me?
Hello, good evening, people. It's a bright evening here in Africa. Fantastic day for us in Africa as we celebrate Africa Day. Africa Day was on Tuesday, May 25. It's actually a celebration of the day that Organization of African Unity was founded by our founding fathers in Africa. And for the records, I can tell you that one of those founding fathers still alive by the name Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia. Long live Kenneth, long live KK. Good evening, Nigeria. Good evening, South Africa. Good evening, Sierra Leone. Good evening, everybody in the 54 countries of Africa. From the Lac Assal, the depths of Lac Assal to the heights of Mount Kilimanjaro. I am saying, my name is Abayomi Oyelami, and it's a great edition of Touch a Cell with Toby and the gang, the online edition that we are presenting to you this evening. I have with me my co-host, Omolola Oguriade. She's connecting all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. Omola, good evening.
Good evening, and a warm welcome to you, Yomi, and happy Africa Day or Africa Month to all our viewers.
Let me do my second.
Yeah, it's I'm glad that we're having this conversation because it's important for us as Africans to continue to celebrate, to show our solidarity as we celebrate our togetherness as one, and also show the challenges that we face on the continent. So with that said, sickle cell is our common fighter that we're going to be that we deal with. So with that said, I hope our guests are ready today and all excited about this conversation.
Great.
Hi, Margaret. So with that said, I hope our guests are ready today and all excited.
Hello, good evening, Margaret.
Good evening.
Yes.
It's nice to see you.
Hi.
Yeah, good evening.
We don't see you on the screen.
Yeah, I'm having issues with my laptop here.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. We can hear you. And we acknowledge you.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's kickstart this without further ado. Margaret Castle is a sickle cell warrior and an advocate for the disease. Margaret holds a Bachelor of Science in Home Economics and Community Development from Njala University in Sierra Leone. She combines her love for modeling and pageantry and competed for Miss West Africa, Sierra Leone in 2008 and in 2018 and in 2019. She represented Sierra Leone in Face Africa modeling competition. We are so glad to have our sickle cell model with us tonight. Good evening, Margaret.
Good evening. How
are you? Much love to you from Sierra Leone. All right. Let me take the profile of Gragavis. Gragavis Bakatukanda lives in South Africa. He studied entrepreneurship and business management. He is the founder of Sickle Cell South Africa. Good evening, Gragavis.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. I hope you'll be able to sort your video issues as soon as possible. Amala.
I hope so too.
Amala, can you take the first shot of question?
Okay, good evening, guys. We're very, very lucky to have you because you're not only representing sickle cell warriors in your respective countries, you're also showing us that sickle cell is possible to live a good life with sickle cell. So can you take us, Margaret, We can you tell us a bit about your background and how you got involved into sickle cell advocacy in Sierra Leone?
Good evening, everyone. I am Margaret Cassell, a sickle cell warrior and an advocate. So I was diagnosed at age 9. That was when I was in the Gambia. That was when I had my first crisis at age 9. And then my second crisis was 9 years later, 18. And then I relocated to Sierra Leone. I went to university in 19, and then I started getting yearly crises. Every year I had a crisis. I mean, during exams, before exams, in the middle of exams, I was always sick to the point that some lecturers thought, I was having exam fright and I wanted to skip the exams. They were like, okay, this is if you fail or if you miss my exams, you're out. I'm gonna repeat you. But yeah, I got class of 2017, and yes, I decided upon graduating, I decided to research more about my condition and know why I had so many challenges in college. Because I was always anemic, I was always missing exams, I was always sick. I really wanted to know what triggered all those crises. And growing up, I never talked about my condition. I only knew, like, yeah, I'm living with the condition. And my mom was in denial all the time. She don't have this. So does your dad. So I have no idea where you have sickle cell. I bind and cast it. So she was always in denial, and I never spoke about it. And luckily, I had a healthy childhood. So I researched about the condition, and I got to find out, oh, I was exposed to so many triggers in the university. And I started to take proper care of myself. During the university, I'll have like two major crises, but as I graduated, I mean, with proper care and management, now I have at least one major crisis, and I always, I'm always on standby. Yeah, so I know that I get ill around November or February. So I'm always trying to keep myself healthy and staying healthy. I want to have a fulfilling life. I want to get married. I want to have kids. And, there are so many myths attached to sickle cell. So I decided to go into pageantry. And as a beauty queen, you have the platform to talk on a cause that you're passionate about. So I decided to talk on sickle cell. Since I live with the condition, I believe that I'll be the best person to raise awareness on this cause. So that's how most people got to know me on social media, through the campaign and like sickle cell cause. This is the cause I stand for. So I competed in a pageant 2018. I was the second runner-up for Miss West Africa Sierra Leone. In 2019, I competed for Miss Sierra Leone, and I was unplaced. But people really congratulated me and reached out to me that, I inspired them in so many ways. And I got a lot of help, like people that I've never met. They showed me so much love. I'm so grateful. I mean, I just decided to talk on something I'm passionate about and raise awareness and tell people, there's so many myths that we need to talk about. And I believe people like us living with the condition should share our stories, share our testimonies. They will be able to believe, like, I can't lie. I can't tell you things I've not been through, because I want a healthy generation. I want a better generation. And I believe that we can save the next generation, and prevention is better than cure. So basically, I use my social media handles to raise awareness once in a while, and I do modeling, and yeah, people know me for a sickle cell cause.
Fantastic. Great job, Margaret. Thank you very much for being what do I call it now? For being a model for us in the sickle cell community. Something came to my mind while you were talking. Sickle cell in Sierra Leone, sickle cell in Nigeria. I'm thinking, is crisis different for you than it is for someone living in Nigeria, for example? When you have your crisis, how does it come? What does it come with? Is it different from what everybody else has?
I believe we all experience it, and there's so many similarities with crisis because I relate to a lot of warriors. I have a support WhatsApp group, and they reach out a lot since like some really shy away, but I try to reach out and tell them to speak up. People will not know if you don't talk. Yeah, the community might want to support, but if you don't raise your voice, they wouldn't know. So we all have, I believe, we're different, but we experience the same pain. That's why we can relate. Like each and everyone living with sickle cell from across the globe, we can relate to ourselves. Just like someone living with cancer easily relates to another person with cancer because they have something in common. And it's an excruciating pain that I'll describe mine like sometimes when I'm in pain, I just die, but I just don't know, just ease the pain for me by making me to go calm and quietly. That's how I feel. And my mom will be like, what did you say? You're not dying here. But that's how I feel because you get to fight for your life each time you're in pain. You get to struggle for air to breathe. Health, good health is underrated. People wake up each day and they think like they owe themselves that, but when you see people in the hospitals, people that are close to death, I've had so many close to death experiences that I'm no longer scared. Anytime it comes, I'm like, I'm ready. That's how I feel, and I believe that's how so many warriors feel, and that's how I can reach out and easily connect to them.
Great. Kamala, over to you.
Hi. So while you were gone, we're glad that we can see you on the screen now. We
Yeah.
just asked, we're glad that we can put a face to you now. We just asked Margaret, what has sickle cell advocacy journey has been like. Can you hear us? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, we just asked what has sickle cell journey has been like, advocacy journey. Can you tell us a bit of what led you to form sickle cell advocacy in South Africa?
Well, the thing that happened was when I got there, because I went to ski hospital. It's in South Africa. So, because I was job shadowing at that time, and I wasn't like I was noticing people are just coming in and out and stuff like that. And then I decided to do a research on sickle cell. You see, so then what happened was I started to do research on the sickle cell. Then I found out like yeah, there are people with sickle cell, and then afterwards I decided to be myself. I decided to how can I say this again? To unite with the people. You see. Then at the end, because SADC is also in South Africa, SADC, they invited me for like a sickle cell thing, you know. Then I went there and they told me like, hey, we're gonna motivate you, push you, and stuff like that. So that's how I started the sickle cell organization. And besides, I have sickle cell myself as well.
Thank you. Before I hand over to Yomi, I like the fact that you said when you came to South Africa, you discovered that you did your research, that there were not many people with sickle cell, and you chose to connect with people with sickle cell. Before I had, oh, his connection. I wanted to find out from you. Before you relocated to South Africa, was this something you wanted to do before you came to South Africa?
No, not at
or
all.
okay?
Not at all.
Because living in South Africa, we both know that sickle cell is not something that it's commonly found like in Sierra Leone and in Nigeria. So
Hmm.
this must have been tough for you trying to educate people on something they're not familiar with.
Exactly. And even when I came here, because I came here in 2005, when I came here, because we use a plane. So when I came here, people just asking like, why are you pale? They say. So then when I got here, that's when I discovered like, yes, I have sickle cell, and I think I was 6 years old at that time. So yeah, so that's when I decided to do my research.
I don't know
But I
if it's
started
from
taking
my
the.
end. I can't seem to hear Gragavis.
I
Can you
can
hear me
hear
now?
him. Yes, I can hear him.
Okay. So yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Yomi, to ask a follow-up question. Yomi, can you hear us? Okay, I would just take the second question. How is sickle cell? What can you share? Actually, this question is for Margaret, and then we'll take Gravit. What can you share as some of your successes on doing sickle cell advocacy in Sierra Leone?
Okay, so I am glad because of the platform that I use, which is pageantry, which is like a stepping stone to the limelight. I use it to raise awareness on this cause that is so close to my heart. I can reach I can reach out to a lot of people. I remember after my first pageant, BBC Media reached out to me, and then we did a short skit to talk on sickle cell and malaria. Like people think when you have sickle cell, you're immune to malaria. So they wanted someone living with a condition to talk on that. I'm like, okay, this is something we really have to talk about because I always have malaria and I try to, especially when I was on campus, now I try to get treated on time. And that video really went viral. In a month, it hits like 26,000 views. And a lot of people reached out from the international community, doctors, medical doctors, and people living with the condition, caregivers, parents, I mean, warriors. And now these are all part of my network, and I can reach out to them. Sometimes we work on a sickle cell, and we're currently working on a sickle cell survey. We're trying to source out sickle cell warriors and get some blood sample to see how immune they are to pain and what type of people we tell them go do your genotype, go know your status, but people are so lazy about it, so ignorant. Can you imagine even when they tell them to go for malaria or HIV test, they're like, do I really need that? Well, I don't think so. So what about sickle cell? I believe that if you it's your right to know, even as you have the right to know your blood group, so it is the same right to know your genotype. People really need to know, and people try to confuse themselves. I always tell them that genotypes are different from blood groups. So get tested, a simple blood test, like just a prick of a blood, and it's done. You get your results, and you can prevent yourself. So I I'm the success story. I would say. I mean, because I raise awareness on this cause, I so many people have reached out and said, "Thank you for what you do." I really had no clue how. Like I thought sickle cell was contagious and everything. There was a time I asked someone about what do you think a genotype is? He's like, yeah, of course I know what genotype is. Every part of your system has a genotype. Your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your chest. that was so funny. But people people act like they know or they have little or no knowledge. They just need some people like us, to come out and tell them more. Because I found out that people are not really interested about this cause only if they have a relative or they have someone close to them or they've lost some loved one. That's when they start listening. But I don't want you to get to that position. I don't want you to say if I had known. So I want to use this platform, to tell people, and I'm glad I'm breaking barriers. I'm reaching out to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people get to call me anytime. Like sometimes I don't even ask how you got my number, because it will be like, oh, so you're turning me down. No, I just welcome them, and I try to talk to them. I reach out to them like in any form that I can, and this to me has been a success.
Amazing story there, Margaret. Amazing story. Now, it seems to me now that education is a major issue with us here in Africa, especially as it relates to sickle cell. Now, every time that you walk on the wrong way, I don't know, do you have any opportunity to talk more about sickle cell? Do they allow you to share about your experience? Can you share some of those with us? Margaret, do you hear my question?
No, come again.
Okay, so I was saying that it seems to me now that education, especially around sickle cell, is a major challenge here in Africa. So I'm now asking, in your job, every time you walk on the wrong way, do you have any opportunity? Like, do they allow you to talk about your challenges, your experience? Do you ever have opportunities like that? Like live on the wrong way?
So I try to use every opportunity that I can to spread the message, because this is the only time I have to meet people that I would normally not meet, if I was doing something else or if I was in another field. So whenever I go out, maybe not on the runway per se, but backstage, I'll meet people and ask, do you know anything about sickle cell? Have you heard about sickle cell? What do you know about sickle cell? And then I'll hear their perspective, and then I'll come in and say, okay, well, this is a myth. There's so many people, they'll tell you, well, after 21, I think you'll be fine. Some will say, well, you died before that age. Some will say, yeah, I know someone that used to live with it, but I might not tell them on the runway as I'm in action, but backstage I'll meet them. I'll definitely meet them. That's why I try to go out and network with people, because that's the only time I have to spread the word, to educate them. Apart from the fact that sometimes I go on media, I sometimes write articles, and I sometimes go on social media, radio, TV. I do that even when I'm in pageantry and modeling. I just see it as, some people say, oh, it'll come again within sickle cell stuff. I have a friend that say, oh, Cassell and sickle cell. I'm like, well, that's me. At least you know me for something. And it's a worthy cause. I'm proud of it. I mean, I didn't ask to be born this way, but the fact that I am, I'm grateful. I can't change that. I just have to make and leave an imprint. And in my own little way, this is how I can do it. And pageantry exposes people, especially ladies, to a lot of people. You get to meet a lot of people that you will normally never come across. I mean, big personalities from mentors and people in governance, role models, like big public figures. That if I wasn't into pageantry, or if I had gone to work, I study community development and home economics, but I'm not practicing. But I think as time goes along, I'll bring that into what I'm doing. but I've come to meet so many public figures that, yeah, I wouldn't have met if I wasn't on this course. And yeah, I think it's a good one. That's how I do it.
That's great. Is Greg, we don't know if Greg is back.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
here.
Meanwhile, all right, great, great, Greg. So tell us,
Yes.
you are the founder of Sickle Cell South Africa. What are your biggest challenges since you started this work? When did you start? And how has it been over the years? What are the biggest challenges that you've experienced so far?
Well, the biggest challenge has first been starting the organization itself. Because I started in 2017, and it's just been one complication after another complication. And yeah, so the biggest challenge that I've faced is people don't even know what sickle cell is. Like, because you said, Omorela, that people don't even know what sickle cell is. So I try to educate them what it is and stuff. But I believe right now I have someone that I'm educating sickle cell to. Like, I can even show you the chats right now. Like, it's just amazing. So yeah, those are kind of like the challenges ahead. Yeah.
So education is, you are also laying the blame on ignorance of sickle cell. However,
Yes.
so yeah, so that's great. That's great. But we know that Africa has the highest burden of sickle cell. Why do we find it so hard to understand this thing? What's happening? What do you think is responsible for this? Is it our, you know what we don't understand in Africa, we usually mysticize them. Is that part of it? Can that be the problem? What is the
So
issue
can you come
behind
again?
ignorance?
Can you come again?
Yes, so I'm trying to ask, we have all identified that ignorance is a major issue for sickle cell.
Mm-hmm.
When Margaret was talking, he talked about ignorance of sickle cell. When you talked about ignorance about sickle cell. In our work here in Nigeria too, we also have identified ignorance as a major issue. So I'm asking, Africa having the highest burden of sickle cell in the world, are we supposed to be in this condition? What is wrong? Why are we still having issues with ignorance around sickle cell?
To be honest with you, I really don't know, because we do the research here and everything, but sickle cell is there. Yeah, sickle cell is obviously is there, but I don't know why people don't take into account that, like, hey, let me go test if I have sickle cell. You see, so that's just it.
Could it be a function of our trying to mysticize everything that we don't understand?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay, so but in your work in South Africa, are you into any form of research or anything like that?
Yeah, I had a couple of research I did on my own
Okay.
personally, and as well with SADEC. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Oh, great, great. All right, great, great. Margaret, we would like to know, now in Sierra Leone, right, as it is now, the World Sickle Cell Day is, we are about 3-4 weeks away from the World Sickle Cell Day. Are there plans that you as a person or the organizations that you work with, do you have plans towards that day, at least to like create more sensitization or do some things around sickle cell? You are on mute.
We can hear you. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely, we have plans set for World Sickle Cell Day, we intend to do more sensitization, especially in the slums area, because people living in those predominant slum area, like they get no awareness or little awareness. They don't even know what that is. They're fighting for survival. They try to fend for themselves, like what they have to eat each day. So things like that, they don't even know what sickle cell is. So this World Sickle Cell Day, we're targeting, I and some group of warriors are targeting the slums areas in Freetown. And then we have a Sierra Leone Sickle Cell Society as well. I believe they are working on something. 2 years ago, they did a march across the city of Freetown, giving awareness bills to people to read out, and they had a band and they marched across from a certain place to the hospital, and yeah, they had a meeting. But I and some group of warriors intend to do sensitization in the slums of Freetown. That's what we are planning. And yes, we'll be doing some survey with warriors, and yeah, warriors in between some age interval that we intend to include in our June 19 World Sickle Cell campaign for this year.
Thank you so much. What about you, Gravis? What about you? What are your plans for World Sickle Cell Day?
Well, my plans for Sickle Cell Day, it still has to be known because we're planning a meeting at University of Cape Town. We're planning a meeting to see what we can do to arrange for Sickle Cell Day. So we're planning on having like maybe an online meeting and maybe a face-to-face meeting. That's what we're planning on. So it hasn't yet been arranged yet.
Okay. Thank you, guys. We're running short of time, so I'm just going to pose one more question to both of you. If you had a chance to say something to your African leaders on sickle cell, what would that be?
Margot, you can go first. Yeah, you can go.
Should I answer first?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, so I believe the world leaders and African leaders in general can really do something to tackle this awareness thing, and policies
That's true.
should be set in place, like early screening, newborn screening, which some parts of the world are not even practicing, especially in Sierra Leone. We don't have newborn screening. I mean, I was diagnosed at age 9. I wasn't even in Sierra Leone when I was diagnosed, and that was because I fell ill and I started complaining my bones. So if that didn't happen, you find out that we have a lot of mortality under age 5 with regards to sickle cell. Some die undiagnosed. That's because they don't know, and so if they don't know, the caregivers will not know how to take care of these wards. So yeah, policies like newborn screening will be a way to tackle it. Policies like genotype testing for intending couples, even though some people get married and some people have children out of wedlock, which is their choice, but we want them to be informed, to make informed decisions that yes, well, before having a child, you can choose the genotype of your children. Yeah, you should know yours, then you'll be able to know if your children have the chances to have a genetic disorder. Apart from sickle cell, there are so many other genetic disorders in the world. And so yes, you can do that. And I believe people should also take a moral responsibility to look after themselves, look after their health. Yeah, even if the government doesn't do it, you should make it a priority that this is my health, this is my future, these are my children. I can choose. There are two things people should take more serious: who we marry and who we make our children. And yes, this is what I will say to them. policies like newborn screening, policies like
And now?
maybe free genotype testing, and then there are lots. They should help in with the medical bills because sickle cell is very expensive, and not everybody can cater for their medical bills. I spend a lot. I'm not fortunate, but I'll say I'm lucky. I get people and supportive people. My support system is really strong. Like now I tend to have like emergency fund for any crisis because sickle cell is very expensive. You don't want to go to a government hospital not having proper medical care. That will be very detrimental to your health. So if you can afford and cater for a private hospital, yes, that will be fine. But if government hospital can take upon themselves to include maybe sickle cell under like some sort of free medical care to get some treatment and emergency treatment at that, they shouldn't be waiting out at outpatient for the longest. Sickle cell should be treated like an emergency. It's an emergency, for goodness sake. But the health sector, they have their own thing here. It's not really easy, and I think this cuts across Africa and maybe in abroad as well, because you get to hear similar stories. I heard of recent happening, like someone in UK, a guy called 911 because he was refused oxygen. Can you imagine? He had to call 911 and he ended up dying because they didn't even know how to treat him. So we need more specialists, more hematologists that can take care of people with people with a blood disorder. Like, the medical sector, they don't have enough specialists like to cater for our needs, so they keep on guessing and guessing, and you'll be in pain and you tell them, no, I don't take this, give me this. They say, no, this is my job, don't tell me what to do. All these things, like it really hurts, like mentally, psychologically, it touches us a lot. Sometimes when I get a crisis, I dread to go to the hospital. I'm like, I'm gonna get misdiagnosed. They're gonna take a while before they give me some pain treatment. I rather take it from home. But sometimes I just have to go, especially if it's severe, like acute chest syndrome. You need oxygen. You need a good support system. And yeah, there's a lot to be done in terms of sickle cell in Africa and across the globe. I believe it cuts across.
She is.
Grandbabies, can we hear from you? The same question.
Okay, just repeat the question for me because I was kind of distracted a little bit. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right, the question I want to ask was if you meet a government official today, say the president of South Africa, what are you going to tell the president of South Africa about sickle cell?
Oh, okay. I will tell, like a second of Margaret. I will tell them to have a constitution for sickle cell, and they must get everybody tested. So yeah, because sickle cell should be like a priority in Cape Town, actually, or actually around the world. It should be a priority because it's like Margaret said, she met someone in the States that didn't have oxygen and stuff like that. So I don't think that's going to be kind of fair for us to neglect them and stuff like that. So yeah.
All right, great. Thank you, Greg.
No problem.
Yeah, Amala, what do you want to
Um,
add to this?
Okay, before we go, I just want to applaud both of you for being change makers in your different countries. And what really amazes me about Margaret's story is that you use the beauty pageants to advocate and educate people on sickle cell. And that's what we're talking about because we're not doing the conventional things to educate people, where you're now using different tools to educate people on sickle cell. So I applaud you for that, for being a great change maker in Africa and doing great things in your community. So a big round of applause to you. And then for for Greg, for me, I think you broke boundaries in a country that you were a foreigner in, and then you came and you decided to educate people and start your own foundation on sickle cell. So thank you so much for sharing your journeys with us. With Margaret, we hope to bring you back where you can tell us how, talk to us about beauty pageant tips, and also telling us how you help young people make themselves beautiful with sickle cell. We will really appreciate that if you could come back on the show and tell us those important stories. I'm just looking a bit at the chat, and a lot of people are just saying that we should continue to appeal to our government policies on special care for people with sickle cell. Someone is saying, Margaret, I like the fact that you use your backstage opportunity, backstage to talk about sickle cell. Another person is saying information and about sickle cell is key. So I would, yes, everyone is just saying thank you for being here from the rest of Africa. I would just like to hand over to Yomi to round us up in this session. Thank you guys for joining and being great changers in your communities.
Thank you very much, Margaret. Thank you very much, Dragovis. And I am seriously, as in earnestly looking forward to a day when we are going to have an Africa-wide campaign for sickle cell, where we connect our friends from Tanzania, from Namibia, from Zambia, from everywhere. Let's just connect and have this massive thing. And thank God we have a virtual space now, so we can do a magnificent thing. Let our government hear. We need their ears. We need their ears. We shouldn't. I feel, for me, I see Africa as where we should find the solution to sickle cell. If we have the burden, then we should solve it. That's where I see it. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Omola. We did massively well today. It's great to have you again tonight. So on that note, this is Touch a Cell with Tony and the gang. This is the online edition. We usually have the radio edition every Wednesday here in Nigeria, 7 p.m. to 7:30. That will be 6:30. That will be 6 p.m. GMT. That will be 6 p.m. GMT. So you can always connect us. We're on Facebook. We also beam it live on Facebook at Sammy Update. Just as you are watching us right now, you can also watch us every Wednesday, 6 p.m. GMT on Facebook. Till we meet you again next week. This is Africa Day. See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Take good care.